So this is Bhakti Rasrita Sindhu class, which we usually, this is May 25th, 2025, Sunday Satsang. First we start with the Nectar of the Ocean class, which we call Bhakti Rasrita Sindhu. Rupa Goswami's discussion on Bhakti that he learned from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Madhya chapter 19 and 20 maybe. So we're on chapter 2 of the first wave, which describes sadhana bhakti. What's the definition of sadhana bhakti? All the basic ideas. So let's see what we have here. Rupa Goswami Pad says there's 3 types of bhakti: sadhana bhakti, bhava, and prema. The purpose of doing sadhana is to attain the sadhya. And the sadhya means the goal, the objective. The goal of sadhana is called sadhya. So the sadhya is the goal of bhakti, the sadhya bhakti is to attain bhava and prema, ultimately prema. So bhava and prema, bhava bhakti and prema bhakti have their characteristics and symptoms. They're not considered sadhana. Bhava bhakti is like 90% success, and prema is 100% success. Siddhi. So there's a footnote here that says bhava can't be considered a sadhana because it contains direct realization of Krishna. So bhava and prema are classified as sadhya, goal, objective, final point. And bhava, the reason bhava is placed in a separate category, because bhava, when we come to Bhava Bhakti platform, we have the adhikar, the eligibility to have darshan of Krishna, but we haven't attained any symptoms of prema, because prema has different symptoms like sneha, man, pranaya, which of course can't be experienced in the sadhguru, but the different ecstasies and visions of Krishna, they come at prema. And prema guarantees darshan of Krishna, basically, if Krishna wants. But bhava, you may get, you may not get. You attain bhava, you don't get darshan, but next life you try again and get prema, you get darshan. So bhava is separate from prema. It's like a stepping stone. Okay, let's see what he quotes a later verse in this scene in chapter 2, in wave number 2. Vishnu, in his commentary, he quotes an elaboration of this Bhava Bhakti. He says, Bhava, quoting Bhakti Rasrita Sindhu itself from a later part of the later verse. He says, one who comes to the level of Bhava is qualified to see Krishna directly, but even at the level of Bhava, all the anarthas are not extinguished yet. So anartha nivritti even extends up to Bhava. And somebody said, so anartha nivritti is like a vast ocean. Anartha is at the level of Bhava, we may make offense to Vaishnava. That's an elevated Vaishnava, very advanced Vaishnava. And then our bhava can degrade, not degrade, but delimit itself or diminish itself, become a sakti or ruchi. And then he goes on to say, now in chapter 2 of the Sadhana Bhakti chapter, he gives a definition of Sadhana Bhakti. Kriti sadhya, bhavet sadhya, bhava sadhanadvida, nitya siddhasya bhavasya, prakatyamriti sandhyata. So he says, actions of the senses. So So using sadhana bhakti means using your eyes, nose, your sense of sight, smell, taste, touch, and hearing to serve Krishna. And with the purpose of attaining bhava, emotional attachment and love for Krishna. And this bhava is not created, it's nitya siddhasya bhavasya. It's eternally existing. So different contemporary spiritual teachers, they say that I don't know, I'll just say, turn more that way. Okay. Contemporary spiritual teachers sometimes say this bhava and prema is situated in the heart. But this verse is based from Madhya chapter 22, where it says,
Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema
Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Siddha Kavanai. But in that same section of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami quotes the definition. He says, Nitya Siddhasya Bhavasya. That it's, what it's describing, it's the nature of Bhav, not the location of Bhav. The nature of Bhav is Nitya Siddha. It's eternally perfect. It's the symptoms of Bhava. Bhava is the eternally perfect situation. And where is that located? Not in the heart, but it's in the heart of spiritual liberated souls, like in the spiritual world. Like Radharani, they have Nitya Siddha Bhavas for Krishna. Specifically, Mahabhav is eternally within her. So, and it says, Nitya Siddha Bhavasya, this Bhava is Nitya Siddha and Prakatyam. It says it manifests, it doesn't say it's in the heart, it says it manifests. It manifests really sadyata. It manifests in the heart. So that's a big problem for IGM. They always have problem defining that verse. It said, Bhava and prema is inside you. If Bhava and prema is inside you, that means bhakti is inside you. So there's no such thing as what does bhakti lata bisha mean? What does diksha mean? It means nothing. What does guru becomes irrelevant because you already have the sadhya inside your heart. So just move all the dirt out of your heart and start jumping in joy. But that's not what any acharyas say. He directly says, it's an eternal state bhava which is not created, but simply manifests within the soul by the spiritual energy of Krishna, means by the Srup Shakti of Krishna in the form of what? Bhakti itself. Bhakti is a combination of Samvit Shakti and Ladni Shakti, which are two of the Srup Shaktis of Krishna. Jiva Goswami comments, when bhakti is cultivated by the action of the senses, which includes the mind, which is the sixth sense, it's called sadhana bhakti. So when you're using the working senses, the knowledge acquiring senses to do bhakti, that's called vaidhi sadhana. When you use the mental sense, the mind, to do bhakti, that's called raganuga bhakti. So he says sadhana is that by which bhava and prema are achieved. Vishacharya explains, I mean it's nice because Bhanu Swami, although he's a member of ISKCON, gives accurate translation of these commentaries, which are kind of a little bit opposite of the general conception. It's an interesting idea, I guess, wait, I don't know. He says in Vishnu's commentary on this verse 1, 2, Bhakti Yosinda, this bhava, bhakti is eternal, It merely appears within the heart of the devotee. The emotions and actions of Baba are all eternal and spiritual. This Baba happens by the extraordinary actions of the transformations of Krishna's Samved Shakti in the form of Samved and Ladni. Now he goes on in verse 4, he says, Tasmat, this is quoting a line from 7th Canto of Bhagavatam, chapter 1, verse 32. Rupa Goswami says, Kainap ya yupa yena mana Krishna nishevayat. One may somehow think of Krishna by any favorable means. Rupa Goswami's commentary. You can think of Krishna with lust, with affection, with family relationship, with Radhi Bhakti, but not with fear and hatred, which should fix the mind on Krishna. Fixing the mind includes all the activities of Radhi Sadhana Bhakti. So hearing and chanting and reading and praying and worshiping are all means of fixing the mind on Krishna. Verse number 6, chapter 2. But so now he gets into, he talks about general bhakti of divisions. Now he describes the subject matter of chapter 2, which is Vaidhi Sadhana and Raganuga Sadhana. So Vaidhi Sadhana begins with verse 6 and goes to verse 269. Raganuga Sadhana is verse 270 to 309, the balance of the chapter. So in verse 6, he says, when actions of bhakti arise by the teaching of Shastra, it's called Vaidhi Bhakti. Jiva Goswami explains that if one has a taste, actual natural or somehow has a taste for bhakti, that's called rag. And that's when one begins Raganuga Bhakti. He's driven and inspired by taste, not by Shastra. So now Rupa Goswami shows how Vaidhi Sadhana is inspired by Shastra by quoting Shastra. So the idea is if you read these Shastras, you get inspired to start practicing bhakti in the form of hearing, chanting, remembering, etc., which are the basic limits of Vaidhi Sadhana. So he quotes a verse that somewhat, because usually people say, bhakti begins with faith in Shastra. This is what they say. If you have faith in Shastra, someone will say, generally, bhakti should start by hearing and chanting Shastra. So if you're guiding someone in bhakti to start bhakti, you shouldn't say start chanting Hare Krishna. Although a lot of people say that. You should say read Bhagavad Gita, read Bhagavatam. Understand basics, called Sambandha Gyan. Every day is actual practice, but first begin with Sambandha Gyan. It's Bhakti Gyan. You can understand the identity of the Jiva, identity of Bhagavan. What is karma, what is time, how time and karma are affecting me, what is this material world, what is the spiritual world, and all these 5 subjects of the Gita. We have to understand. Because the house of Bhakti is built on Bhakti Gyan. So in the first, Rupa Goswami quotes, if someone reads about them, they'll come to the 2nd canto, verse 5 in chapter 1. Very famous verse. Tasmat Bharata Sarvatma Bhagavan Ishro Hari Shotavya Pudatavyas Swartavyas Tabayam. You know that verse? Very good. Translation. One who desires to be free from all miseries must hear about and chant and glorify, hear, chant, remember about Krishna, who is the Paramatma in your heart, and the controller and the savior from all misery. Krishna's commentary. The person who desires freedom from the fear of samsara, repeated birth and death, the miseries that they're in, must hear about Krishna. The actions of hearing and chanting and remembering are generated from the Shastra that explain that Krishna destroys the fear of samsara. This is an example of Adi Bhakti. It gives another example from Padma Purana. It's interesting. If you look at the books of Rupa Goswami, he always quotes Shastra. And the first Shastra he always quotes is the Bhagavatam, which is a Purana. It's one of the 18 Puranas. Then he quotes Vishnu Purana or Padma Purana or Mahabharata or Ramayana. But primary Shastra he always quotes the first entry. Bhagavatam says, and Padma Purana says, and Mahabharata says, and Ramayana says. But it's not any other order than that. It's always, so that you get the idea. Bhagavatam is the Mukhya Praman, the main evidence, so we should also do the same thing. Whoever is trying to support or prove a point, we should find a verse from Bhagavatam or Upanishads. But Bhagavatam is the commentary on Upanishads, the Mukhya Praman. So now the same ideas about Shastra inspiring the start of Bhakti, Vaidhi Bhakti, quotes Padma Purana, doesn't have the number. I guess he thinks everybody knows it. I don't know. Swartavya Satatam Visvartavya Najatuchit Sarvavidi Nisheda Sur Etayur Evakinkari. So you Padma Purana and suddenly everybody become a kinkari. There's a little twist there, but the verse actually says, one should always remember Vishnu and never forget him. All rules and regulations, do's and don'ts, yamas and niyamas, are dependent on these two principles. Always remember Krishna, Vishnu, Ram, and never forget them. Vishnu's commentary. What does sadhata mean?
Always.
You got a good brain, you're right. Sadhata means always, that's true. Sat means eternal. Satchidananda. But someone said every day, because that's what the meaning of Vishnu is. This is Vishnu's commentary. Sadhata means every day, not every second. Because a lot of times you sleep. That's some really weird dreams. And you're not remembering Krishna at all. But so at least, but once a day at least, you remember. Wake up, say Hare Krishna.
Okay, good.
So sadhata means every day, not every second. It's because continuous remembrance is impossible. So in Vishwanath Chakravarti's dictionary, you find the word impossible. Now, are you going to say Vishwanath's a fool?
No.
Because Prabhupada said impossible.
Is it? No. Dictionary.
The word impossible is found in the Fool's Dictionary. But Vishwanath's not a fool.
Yeah.
He's a great Brahmin Pandit. Prabhupada's just trying to emphasize, don't be foolish. Okay, let's see what else we have in this chapter 2. I'm just picking out key points. The idea is you read a book and you get inspired to follow what the book is talking about. That's the idea of how Bhakti Bhakti starts. Now he gets into faith, because faith is a foundation. Because when Guru Goswami starts defining the different stages of development of brain, he says, Ado what? Ado Shraddha. He says, for everything begins with faith. So he's working up to bring that verse out in a roundabout, in a slow, systematic way. This is a very scientific book by Krishna Bhakti. It goes step by step. One point connects to the next point, connects to the next point. It's a brilliant exposition of Bhakti. That's why we're going through it together. Because if I ask you to go through it yourself, you won't go through it. You'll say, I have the book. Have you read it? Well, I looked at some of it. No. If you could even say that. It's a great victory if you can say, I have the book. First to say, I heard about it. That's a victory. I heard about Bhakti. I just got busy reading Ushalila Mani and going to the numbers. Okay, great. But the guy that wrote Go in the Little Reader quotes Bhakti Rasi Cinema 500 times in his Chaitanya Charitamrita. Anyway. So the only way to teach babies to walk is to hold their pinky. Because you're stinky on holding your pinky. So what does verse number 4 say? So that the Adhikar says Adhikar for Bhakti. It says touch Adhikari. The cane up Yati Bhagena Jata Shada Sasevane Nati Sakta Navairagya Bhagasyam Adhikaryaso. This is a qualification for Bhakti. This famous concept which most people have heard. There's 3 things here. To take up Bhakti, you have to be Bhakya. Bhakya means lucky. Lucky guy, lucky girl. Fortunate. It's not everybody can take up Bhakti. Because everybody doesn't have that fortune. Last night I went to take rest, out here. When I got there, I saw 2 huge holes in my, big holes this big in my mosquito net. Like a monkey came and ripped up my net. I said, it's 1 a.m. I took rest. I wasn't following her, so it was 1 a.m. The wind was blowing like crazy.
Yeah, 1 a.m.
And I had these huge holes in my net. I said, well, I didn't send an invitation party to mosquitoes or what? So I said, anyway, hell with it. I climbed inside. The wind's blowing, the rain's going crazy. I pulled up my sheets and good night. I was watching the lightning and thunder and trees shaking. It was really wild. So about 4 a.m. after 2 hours of watching the sea, I fell asleep. What a day. I spit all over my forehead. We had 1,000 bites. It's another day in It was so exciting. It wasn't normal mosquito bite. It was accompanied by lightning and thunder, and that was blowing this way too. My eyes were like, I saw a branch going to break up any minute. There was some guy down the roof had a big piece of plastic on flying in the roof, and that had like a meteorite in my yard. That was really wild. Me, mosquitoes, and Mother Nature. What a gang. So translation is, person has developed faith in Krishna. by impressions from previous association. As far as samskaras. So one is you're fortunate. To take a bhakti, you have to be fortunate. You have to have samskaras of associating with devotees before you start bhakti. So you see, bhakti starts
From Bhakti.
from bhakti. Because a bhakti is one has bhakti. He says one develops faith by impressions, which means bhakti samskaras arising from previous association. This only happens in one who's not too attached to Maya and who's not too detached. So how does faith in Krishna rise? From sadhu sangha in this life or last life? Got to be equal-minded and pious, religious, not too attached, not too detached. When we say Bhagina, Vishwanath Chakravarti, Bhagya means fortune. So Vishwanath Chakravarti says, gives an interesting definition of fortune. If you ask Bill Gates, what does it mean to be fortunate? He said, all the money I got. That's fortunate. But Vishnu says, fortune means you got association with the Vaishnava. This way or that way. You got special impressions that you got arose from association with great devotees. So to back up his point, which he's making himself in his own language, like a true lawyer, the lawyer makes a statement in court before the judge. Then he backs up that statement and says, Your Honor, what I'm saying has also been said in the previous case, 1955, the state versus Mr. Gupta and this and that. So Rupa Goswami preaches the same way. First, all his books he makes a statement from his own realization, what he learned from Lord Chaitanya. Then he backs up a verse from Bhagavatam, other Puranas. So he said about this Bhagina, then he quotes a verse. First he's saying, if you're too attached or too detached, you can't become a bhakta. So there's a little mystery to this, so stay tuned, we'll find out. 11th Canto Bhagavatam, he quotes as reference. Chapter 20, verse 8. It's called Uddhava Gita, Krishna's teaching to Uddhava. Yajitshaya Madkatado Jata Shraddha Suyapuman Na Nirvino Nati Sakto Bhakti Yoga Siddhida. Translation. If some or other, by good fortune, one develops faith in hearing and chanting Krishna's glories, and such a person who is neither disgusted nor attached to material life should achieve perfection through the path of loving devotion to me. This is Krishna speaking. There's a comment on this. This verse establishes Matkatado, Jata Shado. This very important verse, Matkata, my kata, Jata Shado. Jata means born, Shado. Faith in Harikata. Faith that talks about Krishna and Gita and Bhagavatam are true, absolute truth. It's not some mythology. It's not some made-up story. The cause of faith in Krishna, faith in Shastra, is not some material action, but it's bhakti. Bhakti is the cause of faith. Bhakti in the form of sadhu sangha, by associating with devotees and hearing Harikatha from them, one develops faith in Hare Krishna, in Shastra, and the process of bhakti. And it rises within one the desire to serve Krishna. It's called Seva Vasana. Seva Vasana means the desire to serve Krishna. This becomes very strong by associating with devotees, and that's why gurus and teachers will so much emphasize engaging in seva, practical seva, to cement the idea, to solidify the seva vasana they receive from sadhu sangha and from reading Shastra. Get the desire and idea to serve. But even when you service, it doesn't become solid. Your faith stays weak. Your progress is slow. Krishna's commentary on this verse. A person develops faith in Harikatha by the merciful association with devotees. That is the meaning of yajitya in this verse. Because yajitya means somehow or other, by chance. But he says it's not by chance. It's very specific, it means very specific cause. That's why always you find Vaishnavas are always giving classes. They're always giving public classes on YouTube, on Facebook, on internet, and live, and down everywhere, all around the world. And open and free for the public, no charge. Come here, Harikatha. Because if you hear Harikatha from Vaishnava, maybe get that seva vasana for Krishna, maybe get that shraddha, get that faith, to start your journey to the kingdom of love and bliss, Goloka Vrindavan. So this verse from Bhagavatam shows that one who has faith in Harikatha is qualified for bhakti. So now he describes what it means to attach or to detach. This is commentary of Vishnu. To attach, asakti, means that one's very attached to their body, their house and family. Detachment means if a person is completely disgusted with sense objects, he is qualified for Jnana, not Bhakti. If he's too attached to sense objects, he is qualified for karma. So you have to be a middle roader. You have to be a guy who rides down the middle of the road, not on the right or the left. In other words, you're balanced. You're a little lusty, but not too lusty.
That's very not good.
A little detached, not too hard-nosed detached. But you get some solution to this. The cause of being detached is the unexpected association with advanced devotees. So much emphasis on sadhu sangha. Sadhu sangha, sadhu sangha, sadhu sastra, lava matra sadhu sangha, sarvasi, hoi. Hoi, well that's for hoi. Hoi, because Russian had to say hoi, hoi. Because of Bengali, oi. So all Russians were formerly Bengalis. I don't think they'll swallow that one. They would agree with that. But it's true. Okay, that's it for now. Next we'll talk about the three kinds of devotees. Krishna, Madan, Jai Jai Sri Radhe.